Hello everyone, welcome to another Level Up with Aaron video. Today I'm going to be discussing a couple topics that were requests from the forums. I'm going to try to cover them both in this video. I think, well, the first topic, which was the trophy system, is a pretty quick topic, so I can cover that in a few minutes. And then the second topic was some base tips. Of course, base tips are always evolving and changing as different aspects of the game are shifted around, but I'll kind of go over some quick tips about base design in this video as well as it stands and relates to the current update, which is the 1.10, I believe. Just post some defense balance buffs and the Hera Vengeance Warrior nerf. So yeah, I'll go over that in a minute. But the first part of this video, I wanted to discuss the trophy matching rating system. It's a hot topic always with a lot of people. A lot of people think it's unfair, and they don't believe that it's matching them up with the correct opponents. So I'm going to kind of discuss what the system is. It is actually based on the trophy matching system is based on the ELO system. ELO. If you go into Wikipedia and you read about it, you'll get a kind of a quick snapshot of it. But basically, it's a hierarchy competitive matching system that was started by this guy named Alport or Alfred ELO, and he designed the system with the mind of, well, I don't know if he designed it with the chess in mind, but it got applied to chess, and that's where it's kind of got a lot of its fame. But it's a way of competitively matching people up and then giving them a rating based on their performance with an expected outcome. So if your rating, hypothetically in game, if your rating is 3,000 trophies on offense and you're matched up versus a person that has 3,000 trophies on defense, then theoretically you guys should be 50-50%. So 50% of the time he should beat you, and 50% of the time you should beat him. And that's essentially what you get when you push the normal button. The developers have kind of generally stated what the ranges are of the attacks as far as the trophy ranges. Typically, easy attacks are, I believe, about 300 cups, within 300 cups lower of your rating. And then normal matches are right around plus or minus 100, 200 cups of your rating. And then hard matches are usually 300 or more higher than your rating. And this is true for 95% of the game or for the player base. The only time that it doesn't apply is to some of the people that are at the extreme ends. And the reason why it doesn't apply to them, like the top players, because if they do a hard match and they have the most attack cups in the game, there are no players that are higher than them. So they can't be matched up against players that are higher rating than them if they do a hard. So the system, when they push the hard button, the system kind of has, well, it doesn't air out, which is nice. Instead, the system actually pulls from a larger group of candidates and kind of ignores the requirements as far as what would actually be their ideal match. So instead of saying that, okay, I'm 4,900 cups and I'm going to find somebody who has a defense that's 300 cups higher than me, there is nobody maybe with 300 cups higher than them. So the game matches them up just randomly with somebody within a range, and I don't know the exact criteria of that. Maybe the developers can chime in on some of that. It might clear up some of the questions on the forum, especially with the top end players. But for everybody else, realistically, the system does work properly as far as matching you up against people that you should be matched up against. And the only thing that really skews the system currently, and that is the assist options within the game. So if you're in an alliance and you get assists all the time, then even though you're winning your matches and your ratings going up, your skill level is probably not at the level that your cups are at for fighting solo. So if you always have assists in your matchmaking and then all of a sudden you do the same matchups, easy or normal, and you don't have any assists, then you're going to start losing most likely because Those assists are actually what are making you attack outside of your natural range. So that's where it gets confusing, I think, for a lot of people. Assists do play a huge role in this game. You get one or two assisters in a battle, and you can turn it around, especially if they're good assists. So they'll help you win a battle that you would have lost by yourself, or vice versa. You'll play a base that you normally beat, and then because the defense assists came in, just like this one, the defense assists came in. I normally would take this base out if it was a solo. The defense came in, and I actually lost this to this base. So when I lost to this base to Morph, his rating was 3268 versus my offensive rating of 3842. So I'm 500, almost 600 trophies ahead of him. So in theory, just based on our numbers, I should always, well, not always beat him, but beat him, I don't know, 90% of the time or something like that based on our rating differences. However, because of the assist, I actually lost, and you can see that I lost 29 trophies. So now it's saying, this person you should have beat 90% of the time and you lost to them. So because you lost to them, we're going to scale you down. Maybe your skill level isn't as high as it was previously and you were fighting out of your range. So we're going to try to bring you down to what your true range is because you lost to an easy opponent. And the system over time, it really balances itself out. So you'll go up, you'll go down. I've been hovering at this 3,800 offensive trophy mark for a couple months now. I go up as high as 4K and I go down as low as 3,600 if I'm soloing, just depending on if I have people that come in and help me or if I'm losing some easy revenges. And here you can see a match where I lost 15 cups, and I select easy on all my attacks, but this was actually a revenge. So you can see at the top it says revenge up there. So we have exactly pretty much the exact same amount of trophies. So this would have been like me clicking on a normal match. So my offensive trophies are 3,800, his defense are 3,800. Therefore, when I lost to him, I lost 15 trophies. That's the midpoint between the range of cups. You can either gain as many as 30 or you can lose as little as 1. So 15 is the middle point. So if you're doing normal, 15 is going to be your average trophy rating loss for most matchups. Another thing to keep in mind, I know a lot of people complain if they click on easy and they really get a base that is not easy, then they'll see that because they're doing a base that's not really easy, their trophy rating won't be affected as though they lost to an easy. So I'm looking for a good example of that in my bar here. I think most of these are revenges. I can't show you, but just know that realistically for everybody out there on the forums that the trophy ratings are matching you up correctly, and the ELO system is a great indicator of your actual skill level in game relative to the other players that are playing. Always keep in mind, that if you were a 3,800 cup or a 3,600 or a 2,000 cup player for a long time and then you take a break and you come back, everybody's playing in that 2,000 cup range now maybe has a higher skill level than it had when you quit playing. So maybe you're finding it a lot harder to play at that 2,000 cup range, and maybe that's because everybody around you that was at 2,000 cups is now improved. So it's almost like the system eventually reaches a cap, and then that cap is really hard to surpass, and that's what the frustrated top end players are running into right now. Like I know Araya, pardon my pronunciation, but I know he was upset over doing matches all the time against opponents that were only giving him one cup trophy wins, and they were tough bases, and he would lose 30. So if he lost one battle because the defender had a ton of assists, then he would lose 30 cups, and it would take him 30 victories against that same opponent to get back to where he was at. So yes, that it definitely can be frustrating, but that is the mountain that you climb when you're in the system. If you're at the top of the system, you're fighting people at the top, and those gains and losses maybe have more of an impact, especially the losses, for keeping you on top. So it's like you have to keep proving that you are the best on a continual basis to stay at the top. So yeah, if anybody have any particular questions, I kind of feel like I jumbled around the topic a little bit here, but hopefully you guys have a better understanding of how the matchmaking is done and why you're matched up with other players. Take my word for it, and if you want further explanation, I'm glad to give that. But the ELO system and our trophy rating based system in this game is very accurate and is very I think it's the best indicator. So if you're losing a bunch of battles, it's probably because you're attacking at a range that your skill level quite isn't at, or your defensive level isn't at. And once you lose a few and you drop down to a lower level, you'll be closer to where you balance. So over a long term, you kind of find that ground, and the only way you really climb that ladder in the game in general is by progressing yourself. You get better at attacking, and then also and level up your gods. So by doing both of those things, you'll start to see your ratings climbing. Okay, that was a little bit longer on that topic than I wanted to spend. I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about base design. This is actually one of the few original bases that I've created in God's Olympus. Shout out to the developers. We would like a base editor. I know you guys are working on it, so hopefully in the next big update we'll see that. But I usually don't create bases from scratch because I don't want to take the time to really think about them and move everything around, etc. So it's obviously pretty tedious, and then the fact that defense is a little underwhelming doesn't help the fact. So, but I did take the time to put this base together. It's the island style base, and the basic point of the island style bases you're seeing a lot more of is to kind of counteract the effectiveness of Hera, because when you drop her in, if you have a tightly clustered base, she's going to take out a lot of targets, and if she's dropped at a key location where a lot of defensive towers are, or a lot of houses that are critical to your base being successful, and she takes all those out, then your base is going to be in bad shape. So I did the island design with that in mind, and here, I still wanted to keep some of my central monuments, etc., in the center. That way they can be the most effective. The only bad part about the island design is that when you spread your base out like that, you're not putting as much pressure on the gods, because really you're breaking up your defense and you're spreading it out over a huge map. So it takes more time for them to cover that, but then when they are in areas, they're not under fire by as many different towers or as many different spawners, etc. So it's a trade-off. I like the idea that they have to spend more time, and if there is defense in here, slowing them down even more, then the base becomes even more effective. When nobody's defending the base, the spread out bases, they're maybe they're a little bit weaker, but they still, especially at lower levels, the effectiveness of Hera are still. I still think they're superior to the tightly clustered bases for the most part right now, just because the Hera, her drop in is so effective. I guess the way you can kind of counter Hera is to create a base that has. I lost to Ollie earlier today. He has a pretty good layout. It's not super counter Hera, but the idea is you want to surround areas, like key areas, with all houses of one color. Say if by the purple monument up here, he left one blue house, and I started a blue and cleared that out. After I cleared out blue and was down here fighting, and there's that one gap over here by the purple temple, I drop Hera right over there in the middle, right here. She blows a wrath, and I take out this huge chunk of his base up here, and that limits the defense tremendously for that area. I basically, so by putting these houses here and not mixing houses between your different temples, you make it harder for Hera to be dropped in and be more effective. So that's one tip for kind of countering Hera if you don't want to use a spread out style. Let me go over some of the monuments and some of their benefits. Of course, Aphrodite monument is great. I mean, especially at low levels and all the way up. It's a phenomenal monument, and usually why you'll see it in a key location in the base. So in my case, I chose to put it in the middle because it has a huge range, and now it's pretty much covering the whole base, which is great. And and it's very effective, like I said, for churning troops over the other side. I also tried to put other key monuments. I think monuments are a great part of your defense. If you don't have them, you're definitely missing out. The Ares monument has spawns little acolytes, and those are very effective if the gods aren't careful. Whoever's attacking aren't careful, and they let these acolytes catch up to them, they're going to do a lot of damage. And I also tried to centralize this monument so that it could be more effective, and they'd spawn more often. By putting it on the edge of the base, then there'd only be a small window for troops to be spawned by it. Same goes with the Apollo Monument. It's a very effective long range. Well, no, long range. It's a short range, but it's a high blast monument. So I like to keep it in the middle because if it gets targeted on the gods, it's very effective at taking them out. And then my other monuments, I kind of spread out a little bit. Some of these, like this Artemis monument, has great range, and once you have it on the gods, it's very effective because it'll target them for a long range. So I put that over here. Since it has such a huge range, and you don't want to put everything in the middle because once again, I have to deal with the Hera issue here. If I put all my firepower in the middle, then it's too easy for the defender to get in here, for however possible, and then just drop Hera in and she blows everything up. So I did separate a few other key, well, not really key, but a few other monuments. I put most of my monuments in the center, and this could be adapted to maybe be a little bit stronger because it has been getting taken out. But once you know any base, though, there is no perfect defense out there, as of yet anyways. So it's always making adjustments and adaptations based on how you're losing your battles. Every time I lose a battle, I try and watch the replay, and I try to look and see where the defender started, and then see if there's any weakness that I can try to kind of close up to counteract their attack. So that's like a tip for everyone. Every time you lose a base, don't get frustrated. Maybe try to make minor changes to take advantage of that exploit that the attacker used to beat you, and then go from there. But everybody's different, so unless you start seeing everybody doing the same thing against you, maybe one person that beat you a particular way, maybe don't worry about it too much. But if you see that everybody's beating you the exact same way, then definitely try to address that kind of weakness in your base. Of course, here I'll just explain a little bit of my houses here that I'm using. Actually told you in the last video that I was going to update my base, so I did, and I included the Hera houses here, and I've been actually very pleasantly surprised with the Hera houses. When the gods would charge into the Hera houses, they actually end up dying with their charge because of the explode damage from these Hera houses that I have surrounding these temples and this center monument. So the only way that you can get rid of those houses is by taking out that temple. So I put the temple over here, and it's kind of by itself. And usually, most people want to start with a more another temple like the blue or the green. Those are usually good primary start targets, and nobody really wants to start white because, like I said, the blue and the green can get you and make the battle hard too. And usually white's no big deal, just like pink and black. I got a defense, so you can see me defend my base live here, and then I'll keep talking about the defense as well as I'm here. Okay, so we got another shout out to Arya, and here he is dropping up here. I know he personally likes to get blue out of the way as soon as possible because he wants to make the base easier to kill. So when you take out blue early on in the battle, then it allows you to take out the other temples and buildings a lot easier because obviously blue Athena buffs the damage for all of the buildings on the base. So definitely a great temple to focus on and get early on, and I usually kind of like to try to do that myself a little bit too. His Ares went through red and charged into purple, so his Ares putting in work. And then there you go, you got to see Ares. As soon as he killed off the building that Hera houses were touching, then he exploded. So you got to see it in action right there. So that was and then there's the Hera drop in. Like I said, in the middle, she took out a bunch of stuff in the middle, which I'm not too upset over. I still have green down there, but he's rolling through the base pretty well. right now at this point. It's hard to stop good attackers like him. I mean, I probably need more stone in my base in order to do that. And if he didn't have defenders, or I mean assisters, it would be a tougher matchup for him too. They'll help keep aggro off of his gods. But I don't think this is going to be a win. Not with him having 3 helpers and me having 3 defense. I do have the green down here. I like the range that it opens up, but most people aren't scared of it because green obviously just increases the range. If he can keep the ranged targets on his tanky gods like Athena and Hera, then he's not worried about the range. So that's pretty much what he's doing right now. I'd like to get back there and kill his Artemis, because if you can kill Artemis in early on in battles, she is key to a lot of the top end playing style. Obviously for lower level players, burst is a lot more popular, but higher up levels, you can't burst through any of the bases at this level, so you have to be able to take them out. And usually Artemis is key for taking out bases in the slow push style, which you run around. Here we can see some lag too, exciting lag. And as you can see, my base is pretty much all the way cleared out. I mean, I can get maybe a little bit more gold off of him. I'm just going to go ahead and end battle since it froze up anyways, and then collect the resources. But yeah, let me go back to the temples again. So I have to say, just in my opinion, that the most important, I mean, all the temples are pretty good. Obviously, the temples that buff your damage or allow you to do more damage to the attacking gods are going to be the temples that are more valuable. Apollo is just like one of those pesky temples that makes killing everything hard, and especially at low levels. If they have a really high Apollo temple, it can be your defeat because you can't take anything out because it just keeps healing. But it's not super valuable at the top end. Purple is good, all around. Just like looking at the houses, they're all around. They're good, but they're not great at anything. So it's a solid temple. Red is great for damage. Obviously, I don't have a whole lot of red houses in my base currently, but obviously it buffs the damage. And if you can get the attacker to go, against a monument or a tower that has a lot of red houses around it, they're going to take a lot of damage. So the red houses are good. Of course, blue houses are great because they increase the health and make everything take longer to kill and harder to kill, and buffing your troops and the barracks. So blue is one of those key temples for me. And then white and green. Green is one of my favorites as well, because I think if you can keep fire on the gods and not on the hoplites, then that's a good thing. So with a lot of greenhouses, hopefully they'll take down the meat shield that is the hoplites and help troops, and get on the gods quickly and keep fire on them and put them under pressure. Hades temple is not too valuable to me. That's why I threw it in the middle. Afro is, but I didn't know where else to put her. I mean, I could have put her on the outside, but it wouldn't have been as effective, I don't believe, in my current layout. So Afro is in a pretty good position right there. She's still protected pretty well by green here and the green houses. So that's why I put her over there. But this is 24 minutes, so I'm gonna cut the video off. Thanks for tuning in, and everyone keep leveling up. If you got any questions or comments, post them in the video below or the forums, and I'll get back to you. Or check out our line chat. We got the Goo line chat going for all the people that have mobile phones with the Line app on them. Come join the chat. It's a good time and information, etc. Okay, we'll see you next video.